Okay, let's talk about two words you hear all the time: woke and inclusion. They're everywhere, right? And the conversation around them can get, well, pretty messy pretty fast. So today, we're going to try and cut through all that noise. We've got a really simple, but honestly, pretty powerful framework that might just help clarify the whole thing. So that's the big question, isn't it? What is the real difference between these two ideas? One often gets thrown around as a goal, the other as a criticism. But are they really just opposites? It turns out, the key to understanding them, it's not really about their dictionary definitions. It's about what they do, their function. And we're about to unpack a framework that really gets to the heart of that fundamental divide.
Okay, so here it is. This is the core idea that kind of changes everything. It's the difference between a practice and a position. Now, that sounds simple, I know, but it's a really profound distinction. Are we talking about a way of doing something, or are we talking about a way of believing something? Let's dig into what that actually means. So first up, let's talk about a practice. A practice is all about action. It's a method, a process. It's something you do. It's dynamic, it's ongoing. Think about practicing an instrument. You're never really done, right? It's this continuous effort to get better. The whole focus here is on the doing. Okay, now let's flip that and look at a position. This is totally different. This isn't a process, it's a fixed stance. It's an ideology you adopt, and it often comes with a whole set of predetermined answers. So the focus shifts away from the action and right onto the belief you're supposed to hold. And this is where it all clicks together. See, in this framework, inclusion is framed as a practice. It's a way of doing things. But woke, at least in the distorted sense we're talking about, is framed as a position, a way of believing. Just that one distinction. That's the key that unlocks this entire concept. All right, so if inclusion is a practice, let's explore that a bit more. If it's really a set of actions, what does it actually look like to, do inclusion? Check this out. Notice how active and outward-looking the practice of inclusion is. It's constantly asking questions like, hey, who's missing from this conversation? Who isn't at the table that really should be? Then it actively builds participation to bring more people in. And the whole goal is to expand that circle of belonging, not to shrink it. See? It's all about curiosity and construction. Okay, now let's pivot and look at the other side of the coin, the position of woke, specifically in its distorted form. If this is a set of beliefs, what are its defining characteristics? What does that look like in action? And wow, the contrast is pretty stark, isn't it? Instead of asking questions, this position declares the answers. It's like, nope, we already know who's right and who's wrong here. Instead of building participation, it works to enforce alignment, making sure everyone thinks the same way. And instead of expanding belonging, it actually narrows what's considered acceptable expression. It's all about certainty and control. So you might be wondering, how does this whole practice versus position thing actually play out in the real world? Well, a great example is leadership. It leads to two completely different styles. Let's take a look at how a leader's focus totally changes depending on which approach they're taking. So on one hand, you've got inclusive leaders. They're focused on the practice, right? So what do? They work on designing better systems. They're looking at the actual architecture of an organization. Things like hiring processes, how meetings are run, how feedback is given, all to make it fairer. But on the other hand, you have ideological leaders. They're defending a position. So their focus shifts to policing symbols and language. They're making sure everyone is using the right words, signaling the right things. And this brings us right to the ultimate takeaway, which really boils down to one critical conflict: systems versus symbols. Is the focus on changing the deep, underlying structures of how things work? Or is the focus on the surface-level signs and words? So let's just put it all together. Here's that core distinction, summarized. On one side, you have inclusion as a practice. It asks questions, it builds participation, it designs systems. It's a generative, open process that creates more space for people. Then on the other side, you have the position of distorted woke. It declares answers, it enforces alignment, and it polices symbols. It's a rigid, closed ideology that's trying to control that space. And so, we want to leave you with this question, because this framework isn't just some abstract theory. It's actually a pretty useful diagnostic tool. Think about the groups you're a part of, your workplace, your community, whatever. Is the energy there focused on building better, more inclusive systems? Or is most of the energy focused on policing symbols and language? The answer to that question, well, it pretty much tells you everything you need to know.